news and get
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Audible, Giovanni, Podchaser, Tiki Live, Rumble, and more. I am Dr. Marissa, your host with the most positive attitude that you're probably ever going to get on a Monday morning, because life is way too short to be unhappy, stressed out, anxious, in fear, angry, hostile. So that's why there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words on this show, no Kanye talk at all. I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. And to that end, we celebrate things like Juneteenth, which technically was yesterday, June 19th, but today is the first show day. And I'm going to be bringing you a wonderful spotlight interview that I had with social change and spiritual practitioner Eisha Mason, as well as I have a pair of tickets to give away today to a fundraiser for a really great organization called Doors of Change. The founder, I just lost my memory for a second. Jeffrey Sitkoff, I believe. Yes, Jeffrey. Almost said James. Jeffrey Sitkoff. I'm going to bring you that short bit of that interview back because my Asian Oprah winners at that time had to bow out for personal reasons. And so that just brings up 2 tickets to Jeremiah Was a Bulldog. Yes, that's Three Dog Night. So excited to be going. I am blessed with some VIP tickets for myself to check out this amazing organization that I donated to, as I promised on the show when I had them. And now you get a chance for a pair of tickets to go see Three Dog Night. So that's all that's coming up in this show and more. I also want to remind you that the best way to start your day, instead of scrolling on your phone, is having breakfast with me. And we take a bite of my gratitude sandwich at the beginning of most shows. And even with my guests, I make them do the gratitude exercise with me. If you missed last Friday's phenomenal show, I think I had a record views on my YouTube channel for that interview with the delightful grandson of the Temptations founder, Otis Williams' grandson, Trace Austin. And his mom even bopped in for a little of the interview. If you missed that, please go to my YouTube channel, free subscribe, and you can watch that there. The previous day, I had the amazing Steve Peters, who got to go to the Oscars luncheon with his date, Jessica Chastain, who won the Best Actress this year for her portrayal of Tammy Faye Baker. That was the day before. So I continue to be incredibly grateful. And we'll start with the first gratitude to have some amazing guests on my show. I am grateful that the show has made it past 9 years. Who says that good news will not sell? I am grateful for continued support from your views. I'm over 255,000 on my YouTube channel now. I did, if you noticed, did some house cleaning, or Publishers Clearinghouse, as I call it on my YouTube channel. You will now see different categories that you didn't see before. If you want to just see my celebrity interviews, although everybody's a celebrity, but I made a private playlist for that. If you want some free coaching on anything from relationships or shifts to job and career, or health and weight, all of that is also in my life balance happiness coaching playlist. So plenty to offer you for free. But if you want to work with me as your happiness coach, please do go to drmarissa.life. This coming Friday is actually my once a month Get Happy free 1 hour Zoom, where you can come and ask me any question you want, whether it's about how do I feel better about where I am in life, to how do I create a new podcast, how do I write a best-selling book. So all those questions are available to you. That's every last Friday. Go to my website, drmarissa.life, and sign up there. And then on Saturday, I get to do Balance Tai Chi Go, which I'll put up a promo for that after this segment. And if you have trouble sitting still in meditation and want to try Chinese yoga, then come to my class Saturday at the beach. I think Sam, my other sound engineer, I think maybe Paul, he's going to drag you down to the beach this Saturday to do some moving meditation on the beach. I'm going to be doing it with a broken toes and a boot, but hey, I can still show you what to do and help you with that. So those, again, free sign up at my drmarissa.life, and you can come. I call it slow dancing with a friendly universe. So that's my third gratitude, that when I had trouble with yoga, with some bad hips, traditional yoga, that I was inspired to bring some Tai Chi, Qigong, and a little bit of my happiness coaching into this practice called Balanced Tai Chi Go that promotes inner peace one breath at a time. My fourth gratitude is that yesterday was Father's Day. For those of you who forgot already, it was a beautiful day for me. I did a post that I got a lot of love for. If your father is actually in heaven, no, I'm not doing the Lord's Prayer, but like my dad, he's in heaven. And I wrote a little comfort post there. So if you haven't checked that out, Doc Balance on Instagram, Dr. Marissa everywhere else, go ahead and read that. But I got to spend the day with my bonus mom and dad. And my dad, Graham Martin, is 92 years young. And we're writing a new song together that's soon to be unveiled called Siri. Hey, Siri. Hey, Siri, you're breaking my heart. No, but so grateful that I get to spend time with them yesterday. That's number 5. Number 6 is I'm grateful for that we live in California. And I feel bad for all those that are in tremendous heat wave right now. If you're listening, I do apologize. I do hope that it is convincing anyone who doesn't believe in climate change that it really is happening. Number 7, I'm grateful for air conditioning. Number 8, I'm grateful that I juice my life and I do not let one moment go by, because it will not come again. So those are my 8 specific gratitudes. Hopefully you've done yours. You can go ahead whenever you're listening to this to just stop, pause, and just be grateful, because it's the quickest way I know to begin to turn whatever bad mood you're in into a good one. And then at the end of the day, the bottom of the bun, we're going to take a bite of appreciations. What do you appreciate about yourself? Why is this important? Because we don't learn it. We don't learn it in school. We don't learn it from home a lot. It's rare when someone says, what do you appreciate about yourself? And as a result, you're always looking for love in the wrong places, asking people to appreciate you. If you know that you are And here are my 8. I'm loving most of the time, 88% of the time. I'm caring 88% of the time. I'm generous 84% of the time. I am funny 98% of the time, because laughter is my favorite sound that I love in life. I am resilient because of a lot of the trauma that I went through, and I know how to soothe myself and get back into a good mood pretty quickly. And 7, and I see eyeballs coming. Please do check in on the comments so I can put you on the screen and we can play together. 7, I am shy. Sarcasm is another service I offer. And 8, I am happy 88% of the time, which is a gift that I want to make sure that you have as well, and that all of us claim our birthright into happiness. And that is the gratitude sandwich exercise to start the show. We'll be right back with Juneteenth celebration, talking about the significance of Juneteenth, which is a relatively new holiday, but an extremely important one, especially if you're American and you are not happy about what happened to George Floyd, not happy of the level of racism that is rearing its ugly head again, or maybe it always has. And thanks to our last president, who ripped off the Band-Aid of the underlying infection of prejudice and racism in our country. That's when we come back here on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Welcome to Balanced Tai Chi Gong. My name is Dr. Marissa Pei. For the next 28 minutes, we will be slow dancing with the universe in a moving meditation that promotes inner peace, one breath at a time. Just follow the sound of my voice and move with me as I guide you through this ancient wisdom through New Thought practice. As a corporate psychologist, I created this practice in response to my life and those of my clients. We were professional, high achievement-oriented, multitasking control freaks and exhausted. No matter how many successes, it was never enough. That, coupled with a painful life experience, led me on a quest to find another way to live and back to my Chinese roots. If you practice regularly, I can promise you that it will impact all health vortexes. Body, mind, spirit, soul. You will be in a place of balance and inner peace the way we were created. 谢谢. Be my partner, dance with me, just hold on, I will.
You coming in?
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, channel AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube channel. And you can free subscribe to get my red carpet playlist. Recently, my interview with The Temptations backstage, as well as Halle Berry, John Travolta, Quincy Jones, my favorite, and more. And thank you for making me the number one 8 a.m. talk news show in the IE. And thank you to all those who are tuning in from there, including Ismail from Riverside. And as you saw from the promo, I'm expecting a caravan from the IE to come down to Long Beach to the beach on Saturday morning at 10 to practice my Chinese yoga with me that promotes inner peace, one breath at a time. And as promised in the first segment, I am going to revisit a great interview I did a year ago on Juneteenth with spiritual practitioner and social change activist Eisha Mason. And we'll chat about that and make sure you go in the comments like Ismail did and say hi. And we'll talk about Juneteenth and comment on the interview afterwards. So here we go. And we're back. You are tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show. And it is celebrating Juneteenth today. So I wanted to bring someone special on to help me understand it a little more and see what we can do, all of us in this country, to make things better than what they are. Please welcome to the show, Dr. Eisha Mason. Welcome, welcome. I am so delighted to have you. I'm so delighted we've known each other for a long time, for like almost a dozen years, but this is our first longer than 2-minute conversation, and I'm so glad about it. And you have been all over the place doing all kinds of peace work. You were a director. I'll let you introduce kind of the highlights of your history. So I know you were the director of a Nobel Peace Prize winning organization.
My friends just always elevate my status, which I'm very flattered. I work for the American Friends Service Committee, which is a Quaker-based social justice organization. And yes, they did win a Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, that's not all the truth, though.
Long before I got there. And I was the associate director for the West region of the US, because it's a global organization.
Beautiful. And you also organized the first nonviolence something in LA?
The Season for Nonviolence in Los Angeles, which was in 1999. And that event changed my life. And it's still thriving, still going strong.
That's super awesome. So tell me, what is Juneteenth? For those who may be listening, and that's a new term. I know that there are people who are not aware that June 19th, I believe, is a special day. Why is that?
Well, in 1865, the Civil War was over, but not all of the people who were enslaved throughout the country knew that they were now free. They didn't all know about the Emancipation Proclamation. So June 19th, 1865 is the date when the last state, the last group of people who had been enslaved, were informed that they were no longer in bondage. And that was when the announcement was made in Texas.
Wow. So very important day.
Yeah. 2 years after the war was over was when these people found out they were no longer enslaved. They were free.
Wow. Wow. And your background, you're an African-American woman. Where do you hail from?
I hail from Baltimore, Maryland, and my people go way back in the state of Maryland.
So you have been very intimately involved in peace efforts, nonviolent. Well, how do you stay in that space when you see something like George Floyd happen? When you continue to hear about all the names of those innocent people who are killed just because of their dark skin?
It's a practice. The past 2 years have been incredibly challenging for this country. It's been incredibly challenging for people of conscience throughout this country. And it's been really hard for me. I have never had such a rigorous practice to stay true to the kind of person that I want to be, and to keep my heart open and to keep my heart from breaking. And so the years of a spiritual practice, a spiritual discipline have really supported me in the last couple of years with the practice of meditation. I write a lot, I do a lot of writing, I spend a lot of time in nature. And yet perhaps the most, in addition to meditation, the most important support I've had is the support of community, of being with like-minded individuals who have that shared intention, a shared vision for how we want our society to be, which is one based on the dignity and worth of every human being, and also people who are committed to doing this work of the heart. Like I find that if I'm in action to help fulfill the vision that I have, then depression or anger don't get the best of me.
So you keep your eye on the prize, so to speak.
And keep walking forward.
Yeah. So let's put the moose on the table, which is my Canadian version of the elephant in the room. So for all those who get their undies all wrapped up when the whole term Black Lives Matter come up, and you get one group that says, well, it's all lives that matter. What about the Native Americans? What about, why are we focusing on Black Lives Matter? And quickly move into all lives matter. We're all the same. We all bleed red. We're, it's one race. We don't need to continue to revisit the sins of our fathers, so to speak. Revisit slavery. Revisit all the wrongs that have been done. I haven't done anything. I'm not a slave owner. So, why am I being called a racist now? I didn't do those things. What do you say to them? What do we say to them?
Well, for one thing, I'm very mindful not to call anyone a racist as a noun. That is your identity. That's not your identity unless you choose it. But people do have racist thoughts. They do have values, or they may have behaviors that are racist, but those are things that we pick up and that we can put down. When you say that again, you can pick that up, you can put that down. And the past is present until we address the past. It's with us all the time, unconsciously, subliminally, until we are able to meet our past as it was, and fully embrace what happened in our past, and go through what can be a painful process of healing. That's true for an individual, and that's true for a country. And part of what we're challenged with today and historically is developing the capacity to do that work, developing the capacity to be uncomfortable, to be able to face that pain. Keeping our intention on the purpose for doing this is for healing. The purpose for doing this is to create something anew, but I can't skip it. I can't skip it. Otherwise, the wound just continues to fester. And we're in a culture, we're in a society that doesn't encourage that. We're in a popular culture right now that wants everything simplified. It's this or that. It's
black or white.
Right, and that's not real life. That's not real life. Part of maturing as a human being is our ability to hold complexity, our ability to be able to hold difficulty, pain, challenge, uncomfortability, because we realize we're more than that. It's a very immature place to be when it's like, I can't tolerate any discomfort. Well, if that's true, you're stuck. You can't grow. You can't evolve. You can't fully access life. So for very selfish reasons, people would want to consciously build that capacity to look at the full spectrum of what's going on here. And when people say, well, that's the past, that's simply not true. It's present.
So what is the alternative to saying what I just said? Is it what one of my white friends said? She said, until George Floyd happened, I really did not understand the level of racism that we had in this country. So that to me is like, okay, that's awareness. Now, how much awareness do we, is it important for white Americans to admit that much of the wealth that was built in our country was on the backs of slaves, the majority of which who were Black, African American, yanked from their homes in a slave trade that you cannot just ignore? Or is that part of it? Because I'll tell you, I just saw something go by that they don't even want any of that kind of education in the public school system.
Right.
It's like, how do you not teach that? Because that's the truth, right?
Yeah. And yet, this is the first time many people have ever heard of Juneteenth.
True.
This is an important part, not of Black history, but of American history.
Right.
And if we do not learn, if we do not face our history, then we are doomed to repeat it again and again. And some folks will think, so what? It doesn't affect me. I'm just fine. And this is from my background, but it affects your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And you can plead ignorance for only so long. And then when does ignorance become willful ignorance?
Right.
An ignorance of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
It's an illusion to think I can be, I love what Martin Luther King said, that we will all, come together and thrive, or we will all die together. Like that's the way the universe works. We're all
right.
And so you don't become aware, you don't get educated, you don't take action. Really, you don't do that to help these other people. You do that to help yourself.
Right.
It's a selfish reason to do it. You do that to as part of choosing a different identity, as part of embodying a different set of values, as part of making amends, not for what not for what your ancestors did, but for the fact that you benefit every day from that system. How can we share power? How can we share the blessings of the system? That's what's in front of us. And we say Black Lives Matter because up until now, the evidence is around us, they have not. And you mentioned the Native American community. Let me absolutely bring the Native American community into that conversation, because there is no other group that has faced genocide at that level.
Well, yeah, that residential school story up in Canada was just so horrifically sad. And I guess that's the part, maybe COVID helped us take a good stock look where we didn't before. Maybe, hopefully, because, I came to the States from Canada and, I chose to be American after 9/11. And, all that, the Vanderbilts and all the first families and all the wealth and all of that. And I can remember just this process of understanding how that happened. Like it wasn't, luck. It wasn't, well, they just worked hard. People were used, people were abused, and the reluctance of white Americans to share power or acknowledge the past. I'm not saying all of them, but the ones in power, certainly number 45, is a great example of just, I half jokingly, and I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, I started saying this because it's my way of trying to jolt people into becoming aware. But let's put the moose on the table. It's not MAGA, it's not Make America Great Again. It's MAWA, Make America White Again. I don't want to share my power. I don't want to have better voting practices to include all. I don't want, our states to be more diverse. And, I want it to be the lynching laws that are still not, passed. I mean, how much more do we have to look at before we put that moose on the table and say, you're either for valuing diversity or you're not. You're either
if you're not, what is that about? Like, what are you so afraid of? And I remember James Baldwin wrote, maybe one reason people are so afraid. Maybe one reason people are so full of hate is because if they gave it up, they would have to deal with their own pain. And I think there's such insight in that statement.
I hope that's true.
There's nothing life-affirming or life-giving about hating.
Yeah. Well, you and I know that, but you look at Capitol Hill. That's a party, right? They were happy to be hating. Happy. Watching that guy on the megaphone was just like, oh my God. Then he wanted to go after the media. Sorry. I have to go back to my discipline. Extra meditation after this. So how does, because we've talked about the other side. Now, how does,
can I
yeah, please.
But my sense of it is that hate cannot be compartmentalized like that. Rage cannot be compartmentalized like that. It spills over. It spills over into your relationships with the people you're close to. It spills over into your workplace. It cannot be contained like that. So it's a poisonous thing, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, whether you get a high from it in that moment or not. It's poisoning you. And deep down, I think people know that unless they become numb. And that's even more tragic.
Well, I hate, I'm usually pretty positive, but there's a lot of numbnuts out there.
There's a lot of numbness out there. Yeah.
So what do you say to African Americans and Blacks who, I remember after George Floyd happened, the murder of George Floyd happened, I saw a post of a friend of mine who said, this stuff hurts. Like, I wasn't kidding about being pulled over because of my skin color. Like, I'm not making this stuff up. And how do you stay in that nonviolent place when it continues to happen? The news reports continuing, the police brutality for specific Black and brown population. What do you say to help the population that's so angry on the other side?
I can speak from my experience with Black people and my own experience. And there are times that rage is appropriate. And yet if you stay in anger or in rage too long, just as I said, for the rest of the country, it's true for us too. If I stay in rage too long, it's unhealthy. It will hurt me physically, it will hurt me emotionally, it will hurt me psychically and spiritually. So, and what I also know is that underneath that rage, there is profound hurt, profound wounding. So much of this past year, I've had the opportunity to organize, co-facilitate healing events for the Black community specifically, where we have safe spaces in which we can do some of that grieving and healing and venting work. That's essential, because if you're going to take action, you want to take it from the healthiest place possible. So we don't bypass those emotions. We don't judge those emotions, but we're finding a way to take care of ourselves, which tends to happen in community. And then I have found, and again in my own experience, the times that I'm yelling at the television or the radio, and I have taken the time to do my practice. It's like, why am I yelling? What power am I giving to that person, that group, that institution. And then what is that saying about me? That I'm powerless?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's not true.
That's
Because, I know who I am. I know whose I am. So I know I have power. So then the question becomes, so what am I going to do with my power? What action am I going to take? How am I going to engage in and take action for what I believe in? And I know the outcome doesn't matter as much as that I took the action. I moved that energy in the right direction. And at the right time, conditions will be right. And that shift will take place.
Mm-hmm.
Even the shift that's taken place in the last 18 months is extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
But that was built on the work of countless individuals over years of seeming inertia when we suddenly hit that tipping point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yeah, I just had a click. Thank you for that, which is when I'm yelling, I'm giving away my power. I'm actively handing it over. So I don't want to do that. I want to.
I used to work for a guy in the film business, and he never yelled on the set. And he was just so cool. And I said, how do you do that? He said, well, when you know what you're doing, you never have to yell. Wow.
Wow.
And when you're in a march, you're going to make a lot of noise because that's part of why you're there. But when I am at home alone, yelling at the TV, I have I've forgotten who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm feeling helpless. I'm feeling overwhelmed. And I can do something about that.
Mm-hmm. And that's another shift. Thank you for that. Doing something doesn't mean necessarily shaking your fist or doing a march. Doing something can be processing through the emotions that you are having so that you can move it out into a different place. I didn't
move it into action. I do want to make that clear. Like you don't want to act. It reminds me of after 9/11, people were in a totally reactionary place, and we made tragic decisions. So we want to, as a movement, we're working for change in this moment, and we're building a vision of society. So we want to honor those emotions, take care of those emotions, and act from that place of wholeness, act from that place of clear vision and intention.
Mm-hmm. So one of the BS belief systems that I've heard, this is sort of I'm taking a left turn here, but I want to talk about it because nobody talks about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm known for that, that some white or Caucasian Americans don't want to be aware or acknowledge what happened in slavery because of the money that would have to the reparations that would have to be done. And so that's one of the reasons, if not the strongest reason, to say that wasn't me, that those, times past, that was a long time ago, that's part of whatever. Speak to that.
Well, I can share some facts. I mean, after the Japanese internment during World War II, compensation was paid to those families. And after the Civil War, compensation was paid to slave owners. And many people don't know that. But they were each paid $300 per slave, which is the equivalent of about $8,000 today.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So slave owners get compensation, but those whose labor was exploited received nothing. Now people will say, well, what about the 40 acres and a mule? And there was a proclamation that each formerly enslaved person be given 40 acres and a mule. But when President Andrew Johnson became president, he annulled that proclamation. So people didn't get that 40 acres and a mule. So if we have given reparations in the past, when we have compensated people in the past, and yet no one has been more exploited, whose labor has been more exploited in this country, how do we justify, well, no, we can't really do that. We can't really pay reparations. That's a real soul searching about, well, what is that really about?
Right. Right. Wow. You know, that's one of the reasons why I love spotlighting interviews is that I've forgotten some very significant things that I learned, and that was one of them. I kind of remember that there was a whole lot of injustice done, but the specifics are mind blowing. And the rest of that interview, which I hope you all do as homework. If you are not familiar with Juneteenth, or all you hear is Juneteenth in a concert or something, and you're not familiar with why this is important, please go to my YouTube channel, free subscribe, and find that interview to watch the rest of it, because it is really, really significant, and you'll learn a lot, and you might hopefully be motivated to do some positive action. And Eisha Mason, you can find her, just Google her on the internet, and she does some great work as a social activist, peace activist, in, as she says, working towards that vision of our community that really is the antithesis of what is seemingly going on right now. So I'm just so grateful that I have my interviews that are timeless, and certainly that is one for Juneteenth. And I also wanted to give away a pair of tickets to, switching gears, to Three Dog Night. Now, what is that all about? Well, we're going to hear from Jeffrey Sitkoff. He's the founder of Doors of Change. So we'll just hear that and see if I can bring that up easily. Here we go. And sharing. And did you know that there are 3.5 million homeless youth in America today? And because of that, and obviously he answered the call a long time ago, in 2001, Doors of Change has been transforming the lives of homeless youth, one young person at a time. And the last 20 years, they've helped place 2,200 homeless youth in safe housing and off the streets. And they're focusing now on the GAP service. They found that youth between 17 and 25 were underserved. So they're focusing on them, recognizing that trust is often a significant barrier for youth in need of services. Doors of Change selected music and art as a non-threatening way to engage young people living on the street. Jeffrey Sitkoff, my guest today, is the president and founder of Doors of Change, and he has been leading an amazing group of committed volunteers to help homeless youth 17 to 25 get off the streets of San Diego and in 13 different states. He's been supported by some amazing musicians that do benefits, including Elton John, Billy Joel, Rolling Stones, Carlos Santana, B.B. King, and this year, Three Dog Night. Please welcome to my studio, Jeffrey Sitkoff.
Thank you. By advertising on YouTube, I grow my business by reaching my most important customers, people like Allison. She's a fashionista.
Welcome, welcome. That's quite the resume there. Let's go back to, did you know when you were a kid that this is something that you were going to be doing?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm a physical therapist by profession, and I had a successful practice for 18 years. I had a spinal cord injury 22 years ago, and I couldn't perform my job that I did for 18 years, and I did a lot of soul searching. I knew that kids needed help right now. I saw Columbine happen, the Santee shooting happen, and I said there's got to be a way that kids can make better choices. They're making the wrong choices. And so that's how I started this. I actually spent a year investigating 100 nonprofits in San Diego that empowered youth to make better choices. I had no idea there were homeless youth in our community. And when I went on outreach one night, it changed my life. I said, I've got to help these kids. And it's been over 20 years now.
That is amazing. 20 years. And I guess the reward, part of the reward is just seeing the placement.
I've had the chance of working with several different foundations and groups, and just I remember going to a mission and sitting down with someone and interviewing her, and she said, you know, I really want to get off the streets. I'm not a person that wants to stay here, but let's put the moose on the table. That's my Canadian version of elephant in the room. There's a perception with homelessness that it's people who are too lazy, too hooked on drugs, don't want to act on their own behalf, don't want to help themselves, and are looking for handouts. So that is a very unfortunate but prevalent BS belief system that a lot of Americans have. So address that for me.
You know, that is completely not what we see with the 18, 17 to 25-year-olds. This age group are there not because they want to be on the streets, but because they have such dysfunctional families that they have to be on the streets. It's safer on the streets than in their home. Their parents are drug addicts, they're alcoholics. Nationally, about 40% are LGBTQ youth, and our youth that we work with, about 60% are LGBTQ youth. And so it's just terrible that these kids have to go through this. But the biggest thing is once they get on the street, they don't trust anybody. And so if they do not trust you, they're not going to ask for help. And so it's really a terrible thing. It's very hard for them to get off. Once they're on the streets, it's very hard to get off the streets unless they trust you.
Wow. Now, we've just been joined by a colleague of yours. I'm going to bring her on and then change this. Actually.
All right. And we're going to, you can also get the rest of that interview. He brought the program director on, but I'm running out of time as usual and wanted to make sure that if anyone is in the San Diego area and has not, doesn't have anything to do on June 30th, which is next Thursday, that you please go to Doors of Change. Let me make sure it's, there we go, doorsofchange.org. And I can also share that. One of the great things about StreamYard. And here we go. So this is the Concert of Hope benefiting homeless youth, starring Grammy-nominated Three Dog Night. If you're wondering, what are they known for? It is Jeremiah was a bulldog. So that should jog your memory. If you are at all wanting to support homeless youth instead of shaking your head and thinking that it's really horrible, as I put the moose on the table, that having those misconceptions and understanding that things have to be pretty bad at home when you prefer to live on the streets, and that it is not ideal at all, and that they would really could use more than even whatever you're handing out on the street when you're driving by. We really can make a difference in homelessness, but we have to stop thinking that it's someone else's job. And so that I have many, actually a myriad of shows dealing with solutions to homelessness, and this is definitely one of them. So you get a concert of hope at the Moonlight Amphitheater. I am giving away 2 tickets to Three Dog Night concert. Lots of free value in that. I am going to be there myself. It is June 30th, 2022 at the Moonlight Amphitheater in Vista, California, which is on your way down to San Diego. So the first person, unless you're a single, and then I can give away 2 single tickets, is going to go to Dr. Marissa .life. That's DRMARISSA.life. In the subject line, you will put Three Dog Night. And you can spell it out, then I will know that you have been listening and that you want to support and enjoy this Asian Oprah giveaway from your favorite positively opinionated host. So that is the Concert of Hope benefiting homeless youth. As Jeffrey said, if you want to hear more about that, and if you want to use your time, which is another way to focus on the positive parts of change and to be in solution and hashtag be the change, then please do that. So that is June 30th. Asian Oprah giveaway tickets for 2 to the benefit concert of Three Dog Night. So I'm looking forward to that. Tomorrow, I'm also giving away a pair of tickets to another great oldie but goldie, not giving away my age because I'm ageless, tickets to Don McLean. And if you're wondering why that name sounds familiar, it is Bye Bye Miss American Pie. Okay, those pair of tickets you will be able to get tomorrow for free. The first person that goes to where I tell you to go to tomorrow's show will get free tickets to that. That's at the Saban Theater, who you know is one of my show sponsors. Thanks to Dana. I will be giving away Blood, Sweat, and Tears tickets later on, as well as Cheech and Chong tickets to the Saban. So you just keep it tuned here to your Asian Oprah giveaway central. For those of you who think that I gave myself that name, I was actually introduced to Oprah as the Asian Oprah by my big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith. So that's how that happened. But it just means that I get to give you free tickets to things. And someone mentioned on my social, are you giving away cars? I would love to give away cars. Any of the dealerships in the IE or in Southern California who want to contact me. I know that I was able to give % off on car servicing at Capistrano Mazda. I'm working on South Bay Mazda to kick in something, but I would love to pair up with a dealership to give away cars. But in the meantime, I am giving away tickets to support our arts and entertainment. If you are involved in any kind of arts and entertainment and want to give your tickets away on Take My Advice, I'm not using it, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, then please do contact me. You can always chat with me at drmarissa1.youcanbook.me and schedule some time to talk to me if you're going through some challenging times now and want free advice or free coaching. I'm now offering us on live sessions. You can be anonymous if you have a problem in your life right now with relationships or your job and career or your health and well-being, then go and book some time with me and we'll either pre-record, you can come live. Tomorrow is caller compliments and commercials. And so if you want to have your question answered and you want to come and do a free live coaching session for happiness or life coaching, then let me know. All right. That is tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA. Remember, it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through, inner peace. Now go forth and have the best day ever.